Now, the most iconic thing for Kanban is the visual aspect, and in this case, it's the Kanban board and Kanban cards. The Kanban board helps to show status of the various work items, as well as any of the bottlenecks that may be occurring throughout the project and those work items being completed. Kanban cards, they house the details of that particular work item. They house details of what that work item is, maybe when it's due. Obviously, the status is derived from the column, so that's not usually noted directly on the card, but it's in the particular column for that status, as well as any dates and times that that particular card has moved from one status to another. So let's kind of take a step back. So Kanban boards, they can be both physical or virtual. Physical meaning it's a board inside of some type of office room. It's a whiteboard that's been, with markers drawn into a Kanban board, and then you use sticky notes or some type of note cards with a tack pin or note cards with a piece of tape that are actually hanging those Kanban cards in the appropriate column of the Kanban boards. So that's the physical side. From a virtual side, you can use various applications. My favorite application to utilize for Kanban is Trello. It's Trello.com, Trello.com, and it's a completely free application where you can do basic Kanban inside of that application. Another very popular one is Jira. Jira is a little bit bigger. It's a premium one. It's not free. You have to pay for it. But a lot of organizations that utilize Kanban will use Jira or maybe some other type of premium software to track. So it doesn't matter what piece of software you're utilizing. The look and the feel are going to be different, but the concepts of Kanban are going to be the same. So let's walk through and let's assume that this board is a physical Kanban board. So these columns are drawn onto a whiteboard where our Agile team resides, where our Agile team is working, and our Kanban cards are sticky notes that are put up on that board in the appropriate column. In this case, everything's in the to-do. Now, as a team member working on this, I don't get assigned or tasked with work items with Kanban cards. Instead, I go out there, and Kanban is considered a pull methodology, meaning that I go out there and I pull work. I make a determination as to what is the highest priority and what task needs to be completed next. So I look at my Kanban board, and generally, regardless if it's physical or virtual, most teams will have the Kanban card set up from the top being the most priority, the bottom being the least priority. So as we look here, the highest priority sticky notes or cards that we have in this case are setting up a meeting with Frank, updating some server requirements, and as we move on, creating a process flow chart, ordering lunch, etc. So usually it's top priority on down. And it's not always like a list, right? Because I may not be able to do a code review, which is one of the items on this list. So you don't want like a 1 through 10 type of thing. You want a generalized priority, a general idea if this is a higher priority or a lower priority, so you know what to choose. So anyways, I'm a Kanban team member. I need to pull some work. I need to do something. And I look through here. I'm not really sure what this meeting with Frank is all about, so I'm going to skip that one. Server requirements document, not really my cup of tea. The networking guy is going to probably handle that one. Creating a process flow chart, I can do that. That is a good one for me. It's a higher priority. It's towards the top. So I'm going to go ahead and assign this task to me. I'm going to take ownership of this task and getting it completed. On a physical board, I would walk up, I'd grab that sticky note, I'd pull it off, and I'd simply stick it in the doing column. Now that task is assigned to me. Now with a virtual board, you're going to have all your dates and times and who did it audited automatically, right? It's automatically going to track that, so you can pull that later for some things that we will need. On a physical board, a little bit more difficult. What I've seen a lot of people do to try to track those dates and times that these cards are moved from one status to another is to actually flip that card over and on the back of it write their name, the date and time, and what the status was changed to. That way they're tracking when it was moved to doing and when it was moved to done. I've also seen a lot of organizations that do it that way. When they create the initial card and they put it in the to-do column, they do the same thing. They write the name of the person that created the work item, that particular card. They write the date and the time, and that it's a status of to-do. So when you look at the back of those cards, you can see the audit trail of what that card did from date and, from date to date or over time, and kind of see how that card evolved and moved through the various statuses. So I've taken ownership of that particular work item. Now, once I get done with that work item, I would simply go grab the work item and physically move it to the done column. In a virtual board, same type of thing, like what you saw me do on the screen. In a virtual board, it's a lot of click and dragging to another column. The physical board, obviously, you got to walk up to it and remove the item and move it over to another column. But don't forget, I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to write my name, the date and the time, and the updated status on the back of that card. Well, I've completed my process flowchart. Next, now I need to do another task. So I'm going to look at these tasks, and maybe ordering lunch is important. Maybe it's 10 a.m. now. We have a lunch meeting at 12:30 in which we're ordering lunch for the team, and we're going to have kind of an in-house training or what have you. And so I need to order lunch for that particular meeting. So let's go ahead and take that. And we're going to move that to the doing. We're going to flip that card over, write our name, the date, the time, and the updated status for our audit records. And you just keep going through this. Now, this Kanban board isn't just for me. All team members, the network guy, maybe he comes out and says, oh yeah, I'm going to update those server requirements. I'm going to do that. Set him a meeting with Frank. Maybe Betty, who needs to get more information from Frank, had put that work item out there, and she goes ahead and takes ownership of that particular task. So these tasks are moving, being created, putting the to-do column, moving to the doing and the done, and everything is just very fluid. Everybody's taking ownership, and they're working to get that particular work item started and completed.